Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Elements of the Unknown.
They get cringier and cringier.
They get cringier and cringier. I mean, okay, I'll try to do creepier next time instead of cringier. So this week we are... God, you got me all thrown off. I'm Jason McGray.
I'm Justin Hume.
Thank you for coming on to the show. This week we have a treat for you.
Yep.
We are going to go on location to a place called Active Marketplace, which is in Ajax, Ontario, Canada. Yep. And there is a booth there. It's kind of like a flea market. Mm-hmm. Well, not kind of. It is a flea market. There is a vintage vendor there that has like, not vendor, but like a section.
Yep.
All kinds of like old vintage stuff, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
And then they have like your generic run-of-the-mill type of flea market with booth spaces and all kinds of 16 booths about cell phone accessories and 3 booths of stuff that you actually want to see.
Yep.
And one of those booths, which is really cool, is called Buddhas and Butterflies.
Yeah.
We connected with them. Your wife knows the person that
runs the booth?
Yeah, it
was really cool how that connection happened. You've seen the flags.
Yeah.
And it drew you to it. And then all of a sudden, like, we walked up, and the lady in there, who we didn't know her name at the time, which we know now, her name is Angela, looks up and says, "Oh, hey." And my wife goes, "Hey, how's it going?" Yeah. What? You two know each other?
Yeah.
And that connection was made like right away. So that's what this week's episode is. We did an interview with Angela. She is a psychic medium.
Yeah, it was lots of fun.
Very fun.
So we're not going to waste a lot of time here. We're going to jump right into that interview for you guys, but I'm just going to tell you now, this isn't going to be the only interview with her. This is just the first one.
First one.
We could have kept going for a long time, so bear with the episode. It might be a little bit longer than you're used to. We usually cut around a half an hour. This episode might push the hour barrier.
Yeah.
But enjoy the interview. We will be back at the end to do a rundown on it.
Yeah.
Here
it comes.
Okay. You ready?
Go.
You ready?
And go.
All right, guys. We're here.
We made it.
Buddhas and Butterflies with Angela.
Hi.
And we promised in the beginning of this adventure that we were going to interview some people.
Yeah.
And
first of many.
Interview is such a strong word. We're going to just experience conversations with all kinds of different things of the unknown, and this was right down our alley.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been experienced before.
Oh.
Wrong podcast?
Justin said he came with some loaded questions, so we'll see what that is. Before I left, somebody was like, "Hey, do you have questions ready?" I'm like, "Nah. My questions will come with the conversation."
Yeah, I kind of just got to go into it. I mean, I don't really write my questions down, right? It's just, and it's the same thing when him and I are by ourselves. I don't load up any questions on a piece of paper. It's just questions that I load up into my head, and it all comes flowing out, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess we could just dive right into it.
Absolutely.
Before you start bombarding questions, I would love to have Angela just tell us a little bit about what is in her space here and what she does.
Sure. So Buddhas and Butterflies actually came into existence in 2017. I have no idea how I came up with the name, so I've always just kind of run with, somehow Spirit had directed me to create this thing, and initially it was all online. As I was kind of growing Buddhism Butterflies, I was also growing my skill set as a life coach and a mentor. I love to work with women. I love to work with traumas and addictions and all of those kinds of stuff, and really help empower, especially women, to kind of regain their footing and to create a life that they're insanely excited about and proud of. The two have come together in alignment with my gift as a psychic and a medium.
Okay.
And I use my connection to the other side and to spirit to bring forward the messages that these women need to hear in order for them to put the pieces together. Sometimes it's confirmation of what they know to be true instinctively, and or they need to maybe have a different perspective. The interesting thing about the work that I do is Spirit always brings me people that have shared life experience with myself. And so I share my journey with them. The rest of what Buddhism Butterflies are the tools that help us as human beings shift our vibrational frequencies on our journey of self-discovery. I believe personally that we're souls here having an experience, whether to learn lessons and or to just have a human experience. And so the tools like crystals and the candles and the oils and all of the things that I carry in my little shop here at Active Marketplace are things that help shift your vibrational frequency and align you to the desire and the life purpose that these individuals are here to do.
Cool.
And that's it in a nutshell, and it sounds a lot easier than it is.
Well, no, hey, that was pretty descriptive. Like, you know, you just asked like a simple question, like, "Hey, what is this?" And that's amazing. Like the fact that it's almost like you sat in front of a mirror for an hour practicing that.
You know what it is? I've been doing this for a really long time.
Okay.
And the more that I'm in different situations, whatever brought me to the point where I'm here physically now, is all about being attuned to what it is that my soul is supposed to be doing and the work that I'm here.
Sure. And
Right?
I'm sure that probably a lot of people, when they, hey, what is your booth about? You're telling them the same thing all the time.
It's
the
funny,
same-
people don't really ask.
Really?
Yeah.
Like people that you know and stuff don't ask like, hey, what are you doing? What is your booth about?
Nope.
Because I mean, okay, I get it when they were like, what is your podcast about? Hey, man, I like to talk about Bigfoot, aliens, and ghosts.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's
that's the most
interesting.
easy summarized thing I can say.
The thing that pulls people in initially are the readings. Obviously, I do little
Right.
quick 20-minute readings because the space and the environment that we're in.
For sure.
I don't get into, but it's typically the readings that call people in. And then when you start hitting the points and addressing the stuff that they're really internally suffering with or struggling with,
Yep.
then they start looking around and going, oh, there's all this other stuff. And or, the crystals pull them in and they're just here to buy crystals, and that's okay too. Right? Everybody's on their own unique journey.
Okay.
But it's interesting. I think sometimes people are afraid of what it is that I potentially know or can say or do. And so people tend not to ask about my business.
Interesting. See, when I came here, I saw the Reiki colors
Yep.
on the flags from down the aisle.
Yeah.
I just happened to we were getting ready to leave, and I turned my head and I was like, that booth's for me. And I came down, and lo and behold, everything kind of the universe pulled it all together.
Yeah.
So which was really
It
cool.
was
And
synchronicity, man.
the irony is, I hear those kinds of stories all the time.
Yeah.
People will come in and they'll say, I had no intention of coming to the flea market today. I didn't know this flea market was here. Stuff like that. And yet, we have the most amazing conversation. And part of that is because my intention, when I come in every Saturday and Sunday morning, is I have a conversation with the other side and I say, I'm ready to do the work. Bring in the people that are seeking and who need to have those conversations, and they always show up. And so
Really?
that is not.
that's cool.
And when you're seeking like that, and you allow the energies to lead you, you show up at the most amazing, and you meet the most amazing people too. No, I'm not just talking about
100%.
myself.
Yep.
But,
When you so you say you do readings here and you do like quick 20-minute readings. Before you started doing that here, as you were kind of learning and growing and developing as a person in your history, did you have to learn how to have those readings happen quicker? Like, did they come slower when you were younger, and then things started to you learn how to tune into it quicker?
So for me personally, it was, and for a lot of, especially when it comes to mediumship. So psychic mediums are actually two separate things. Anybody and everybody can learn how to be psychic and tap into that inner intuition. Not everybody can be a medium. All mediums are psychic. not all psychics are mediums.
Correct.
So mediumship is a really tricky thing because you're having conversations with things that nobody else can see, hear, or feel.
100%.
And so for me, the journey was about gaining confidence
Yep.
and understanding what it is that I do. So my gift is claircognizance, which is really hard because I have to learn to differentiate between what my brain is doing and thinking and creating and what spirit is communicating to me, because they potentially can sound the same. So my work was initially finding a teacher, a medium teacher who was running classes, and gaining the confidence that I wasn't crazy, which is something that I hear. I teach mediumship also, and it's something that comes up a lot. I feel like I'm crazy. Nobody believes me, and yet I'm always right. I'm always accurate. And so part of me teaching classes is about helping other people understand their gift and then developing the confidence to say it, even though it doesn't make any sense. Because a lot of times the messages that come through to us don't mean anything, but to the person sitting across from you, it instant emotional reactions, because I've just hit something that was so personal to them. So for me, it wasn't so much the journey about how do I be a better reader. My mediumship teacher was, you have 2 minutes to deliver a message. I don't like that. It doesn't work for me. I can't work under pressure. If I'm going into a situation, so group reads or house parties or stuff like that, I have a lot of anxiety. I don't want to disappoint anybody, and I want everybody to get the messages that they want to get. And so for me, that's really a lot of anxiety.
Sure.
Here, what I do, because people didn't come to the flea market for a 90-minute reading, which is what I normally offer, I use tarot cards. I pull the cards, and that helps me connect very fast. I also make my sitters identify an area of their life that they want to address. So I'm not searching for the answers, because not everybody's spirits and not everybody's messages come in really fast. And so I need to connect faster because we have 20 minutes. Now,
Right.
just between us, my readings typically don't last 20 minutes because, as you can tell, I talk a lot.
No.
It's
Right?
interesting. It's a lot of points there interesting to me, because where you say people think I don't want people to think I'm crazy. That comes up on every single subject matter that has to do with high strangeness.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't tell people about my UFO sighting because I don't want people to think I'm crazy. I don't tell people I saw Bigfoot in the woods because I don't want people to think I'm crazy. I don't tell people about the ghost I saw walking through that building because I don't want people to think I'm crazy.
Yep.
That comes up in everything to do with high strangeness. Look at the goosebumps,
I got the goosebumps too.
happening on my arm. That's wild.
And really, the cause of that is because our society doesn't teach the children that these things are normal and natural, and there's the potentiality for UFOs and Bigfoots and ghosts and all of that stuff. We don't
Right.
talk about that as a society. It's only been the last maybe 2-3 years that any of this has become mainstream, and so now it's okay to talk about that because it's all over the TV, the paranormal
Right.
shows,
Yep.
right? So it's becoming a little more normalized, but it feels crazy because as a kid, I was told that was demonic and there was something evil
Yep.
to it, and it scared the crap out of me, and I was like, I don't want to have, and I can't explain what I experienced. I don't know what I experienced. I know what I thought was going on. I could feel the energy of something in the basement of my house, but I had no language for that, and I had no safe place to talk about it. And so yes, it all feels crazy.
Okay. All right.
Does that answer all your questions?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
No, I've always said in this show, I always say, the best thing from a question is 10 more questions that'll
Yes.
never get answered.
Yeah.
And that's what this field is
Yeah.
just questions. But you said you got some
Yeah,
some
so-
doozies. Let's go.
Give her. Wait, let me get my feet on the floor.
What came for you first, the mediumship or the psychic, and how did it come about? Roughly what age?
I was probably 13 to 15 years old. We lived in a house, and I always felt like there was, especially, so I was the bad kid. My bedroom was in the basement of this house.
Sure.
And I would leave the safety of my bedroom and to go upstairs from my room to the top of the stairs. I ran because I felt like there was something there.
Okay.
Again, at that time, I don't know what I'm experiencing because I grew up in a very controlled religious home. I knew that there was something going on in the other room because I physically could hear it. When I go into the room, the lights are off and nobody's in there. I don't know how to explain that as a kid that age. The reaction when I said, hey, I had this weird experience, I don't know what's going on, the reaction from my parents and the church shut me down for many, many years. Fast forward to probably about mid-30s, early 40s, I realized in conversations I was saying things and people were like, that's so weird that you would bring that up. I was just talking about that yesterday. Or I would say something and they'd be like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just having a conversation. I'm just talking. And people are like, whoa, like how do you know that? Or how did that come up again for you? So then I started saying, okay, there's something here. Like I know things I have no business knowing. And so that's when I started going, okay, I can do something that other people don't know.
Right.
And because my gift is claircognizant, I don't see spirit. I don't hear spirit. Now, here's the thing that's really, I'm going to educate you a little bit on the clairs.
Sure.
All mediums, what would be considered mediums, have access to all of the clairs. So sometimes I can catch something in my peripheral or I can hear an actual voice, but that's not my strength. My strength is knowing. I know that your grandmother had a purple chair. I know that, this family whose son was killed in a tragic accident has his room laid out and where the dream catcher is. How do I know that? I don't know how I know that.
Right.
I just know that that's my gift and my ability.
So would you say that maybe, have you heard of the term synchronicity?
Yes.
Do you believe that maybe spirit is giving you synchronicity as a tool to use to your advantage, so that way it can deliver the message that it wants you to deliver?
I got the tingles. Synchronicity, to me, all of this is just my opinion.
Sure.
Right? And based on my experiences.
Yep.
To me, synchronicity is different than mediumship.
Okay.
Synchronicity is different than the connection I have to whatever is on the other side and however it is that I communicate with that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, synchronicity are the signs and symbols that spirit and universe give us on our journey to make us pay attention to what's going on so that we can make better choices and decisions and or do the thing that we're supposed to be doing.
Right,
To me, that's
right.
synchronicity.
Okay.
Mediumship is more about, my dad died, he was an alcoholic, and I have a lot of anger with him, and he comes through to apologize. So my version of mediumship, and every medium has a specialty, I guess, for lack of a better word. Mine is unresolved issues and whatever.
Like personal issues?
Yeah,
Okay.
like family-related stuff.
Sure.
Or people
Man,
who...
I feel like I'm a loaded gun walking in here. Unresolved personal issues.
Right?
But we all have them, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes our family members or our friends pass and we don't get to have those really serious conversations. One of the things that we forget as human beings is how fragile life is. And we forget to tell people how much they've touched our lives until we're standing at their casket or at their gravesite. And we think
true.
it's too late.
Yeah.
Now, if we had a solid connection with that soul, it's never too late. You can still have those conversations, and
Yeah.
that's part of the education that I do. You can still talk to your aunt. You can still talk to your dad.
Mm-hmm.
When that soul passes over, they have an opportunity to review their life and to see how their actions and behaviors may have influenced people from a non-judgmental perspective. And so that's when they come back and they're like, I need to apologize, or I need to have this resolved, or I miss you.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just do a little scenario here.
Sure.
Walking down the street,
Yeah.
you're looking at somebody and you're like, have you ever walked up to someone and said, hey, I got a message that I need to deliver to you?
I have,
Okay.
and I don't do it anymore.
Okay,
Because
why?
it's for the person that you're approaching, it's very uncomfortable, and they didn't ask for that.
Okay.
Now, I have had, like very rare, 1 or 2 times, I've had spirit come through so strong, they're not going to let me walk away without saying something.
Okay.
But I've learned how to preface this better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the Long Island medium. I don't just wander through the grocery stores accosting people with my craziness.
Yeah,
Right?
totally get it.
Right.
That only happens
People
on
are-
network TV. You know about that?
People
Right.
are not prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfair to approach somebody in a grocery store or on the street and say, your grandmother says hi, and now what are they supposed to do with that emotional reaction? And or they're a skeptic. I don't
Yeah.
read for skeptics.
No.
Right? So I don't do it anymore. Unless that spirit just will not leave me alone.
So, this all has reminded me of a personal situation,
Okay.
and
Imagine that.
It's because you said anybody has the ability. And I've never claimed to be a medium or a psychic or any type of.
Yeah.
But I do have that belief that everybody has the ability to tune into some kind of energy or
Absolutely.
spirit or something with the universe. And every once in a blue moon, it's only happened like once or twice in my life, where I seem to have almost like a visual image, and the universe keeps showing me this image, and I never know why. And one time, over the course of 2 weeks, every time I closed my eyes, I could see a daisy. And then I saw daisies when I went out places, and I was like, why am I seeing daisies all the time? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then I went on a date with a lady. And the lady was telling me about her dog that she had that passed away. And I said, "Oh, what was your dog's name?"
Daisy.
Daisy.
That's crazy.
And I said, "That's wild, and you probably think I'm crazy." And I explained that I saw daisies, and I said, "If I'm to interpret that, I think Daisy just wants me to let you know she's okay."
Yeah. And honestly, that is the majority of the message work.
Freaking goosebumps again.
Sounds to me like you need some.
We're gonna change
training
the
here,
name
buddy.
of the booth to Goosebumps.
Oh, listen.
I love that show.
I've been sitting here, and I don't know what I've brought. So I make all of the crystal bracelets.
Right.
The last bunch of bracelets I brought in have started. They've started activity in the booth. So I'll be sitting just.
Activity.
Yeah. So I'll
Really?
be sitting just minding my own business because it's quiet or whatever, and I'll look up and there's like 3 or 4 here will be swinging. The other day there was one over here, and they started moving. And there was a customer in my booth 2 weekends ago, and I came and stood beside her, and I was hit. I thought I was gonna faint. Like I was so dizzy all of a sudden. So I don't know, but the combination of crystal bracelets I have right here have amplified the energy.
Do you think maybe that person came by and dropped something off?
No.
No?
No, because they were doing it before.
Okay.
Yeah, I just happened to step into the energy of whatever. So crystals are all vibrational frequency, which is why we work with them on our journeys, right?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So what actually amazed me, and I wanted to bring up onto the podcast, was as soon as we walked up, you turned around, you looked right at him, and said, "You had a shitty week, huh?"
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna bring this up?
We're not gonna. We don't have to go
Do
too
I
in
need to get
depth
the
into
tissues?
it.
I have the tissues.
It's been
You're
a
still
tough
picking
week.
up on it.
Yeah, I know.
It's been a tough week, of course,
What I do.
for myself as well.
Okay,
Okay.
so to be clear,
Yes.
without too much detail, I found out somebody from my adolescent childhood who was very much like a mentor to me passed away.
Yeah.
And I just found out about it on Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
They had passed away a week before. So that vibration of finding that out, I hadn't seen the person in a long time.
But they
it's-
meant something to you.
it meant something to me, and it stirred up all the memories of the people that I have lost along the way.
Right.
And that kind of like stomach punched me.
Yeah.
So when you said, "Oh, your vibration, you've had a bad week," yeah,
Yeah.
I had a bad week.
But
Yeah.
I had to bring it up because it's the first time I've ever seen it happen in person,
Right.
where someone could walk up to somebody who is either a psychic or a medium, and then the person with the gift turns around and says, "Hey, blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
You see it on TV shows, you see it
Yeah.
in media, whatever the case.
Yeah.
To see it happen in person is definitely like a shock value, and it
Yeah.
definitely has a shock value to it.
Yeah.
Would you say that that automatically happens to almost everyone that walks up to you, or does it depend on their energy?
So
The shock of validation.
no, the
No.
shock of somebody being able to pick up on
Yeah.
the fact that you have personal stuff going on.
Yeah.
So where it becomes a detriment to me in my life is that because I know things, so it's created this really nasty habit of I cut people off and I answer the question before they're done asking, and I do
It's like you're psychic or something.
right, and that's my joke. I joke about that all the time.
I had to steal it.
But it's unsettling for people, and they don't understand why, and they don't understand what I've just done, and most of the time I don't realize I'm doing it either. So for me, I'm always connected to spirit in some sense, and I'm always I'm sensitive to energetic frequencies, whether I'm conscious of it or not. And part of that is because this is what I do now, right? So I'm doing it a lot. The more you work with mediumship and that kind of stuff, the stronger that muscle becomes. Like I'm now, because of increasing the amount of readings I do, I can now remotely connect to people's properties. And
Are you doing remote viewings now?
it's not a viewing.
Just a remote
I
connection?
can pick up maybe it's not really visionary in the sense that I don't necessarily see, but when you're reading a book and the author's creating the village and they're talking about the different characters in the village and your mind starts to formulate, that's what it feels like when my brain starts doing that. When Spirit wants me to pick up, I know that your banister's dark brown. I know that the bedroom faces east, but I'm not necessarily seeing that room. The visionary aspect of that is never 100%. It'll be close to, because my brain is interpreting what Spirit's giving me. So the carpet may look yellow. When I get to the physical property, it may be yellow flowers in the carpet.
Of course.
Right?
Yep.
So, sorry, what was the question again? Right, how people react to that.
That's right.
So most of the time it turns into, wow, it's really funny that you would say that, because just yesterday I was talking to so-and-so and I laugh and I go, oh, it's like I'm psychic or something.
Yeah.
Right? Is it unsettling for people? Not when they come here because I have the big psychic banner. They know this is what I do. Some of them get a really weird look on their face and run away because they're not comfortable with that. And for others, it draws them in. Where I get into trouble is where I'm out in the regular world and I'm seeing things before they've had a chance to ask, and I'm picking up on stuff that subconsciously they don't understand how I know that.
Yeah.
And that's very unsettling. And so those types of business relationships or personal relationships, if you don't know that's what I do, can be very, can create some conflict.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, when we both walked up, was it just something like an energy that you felt from him, or was
He just
it a
didn't seem like
collective
himself.
thing? No.
He didn't seem like himself.
Okay.
I knew there was something off. So my
He
gift,
probably could have told you that when he walked in the door of my house today. Like, both of us looked off.
Yeah. No,
I
but-
know why he was off, and
But I
he
don't know
knows
you.
what I know. But
so
it's-
for me to know
But that look on my
you're
face
not
was
your
probably
same,
there.
it wasn't about your look. It was about
Okay.
your energy.
My energy.
Your energy was not the same energy as the first time I met you.
Right.
And so I'm like, something's wrong. Something's not right with you today.
my
and
energy
so I'm
the
going to
first
call
time
you
was
out.
probably excited to be
And,
here.
and so I'm going to call you out on it
Yeah.
because that's what I do. Because I'm a Virgo. I can't help it. I call people out on their shit. Sorry.
Yep.
No, it's good. I need to be called out all the time.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. You've been doing this for some time now.
Yep.
Is there a moment or an experience that you had with somebody that stands out the most to you and still sits close to you?
In what way? Like as in I've read for somebody and that reading stays with me?
Yeah, that it's kind of like affected you in such a way where it's made you, like, let's just say maybe you were kind of like weary at the time and you're like, maybe I should just stop with this, but they were kind of like that case that really got you motivated to keep going and, yeah, this is what I really need to be doing.
So
You don't have to mention any names
no,
or the situation.
and I wouldn't, because there's confidentiality to
course.
the work that I do.
Yep.
I do talk about experiences that I've had with clients
Mm-hmm.
or with people that I've read for as a means to describe what I do or
Yeah.
how it affected me, or as a lesson. If I'm teaching mediumship, I'll talk about experiences I've had
Sure.
and how to professionally handle certain situations. The readings that really stick out to me and to stand out to me are the ones that touch my heart the most.
Okay.
So, for example, I had a woman who wanted a reading. The woman that was booked for the day had gone off for coffee without letting me know. And I could tell by her emotional state that she was not in a good place. Come to find out, her daughter was murdered. And so, sitting with her and working through that, the police told her daughter committed suicide. And I'm connected to her daughter. I got goosebumps all over. I'm connected to her daughter, and her daughter did not commit suicide. She was murdered. And so to sit with this mother who has had the most insane loss of her life, that will always stay with me. The family who drove all the way from Niagara Falls to make sure that their son who pulled over on the, who pulled
That's
over,
okay.
who pulled over on the 401 to help a stranded passenger who was then hit by another car and died. They just needed to know he was going to be okay. Those ones stay with me.
Yeah.
Those ones are hard.
That I can understand, like, how that can be tough for you to really keep going, and it's like,
Well, because and the thing is that I'm of no service if I'm so emotionally distraught that I can't even talk, and it happens.
it's kind of like you made a vow to yourself, like, I'm doing this for the people. I'm doing this for those who need help.
So
right?
the bigger, yes, to elaborate on that, I grew up in a very, as I said, a very controlling religious home.
Of course.
I grew up with an alcoholic who was horribly abusive to my sisters and I.
Sure.
And dramatic pause. I just
can edit those out.
no, don't edit it out. I just got to a point in my life where I was like, that was a lot of shit for one little girl to have to survive. And so I need to make this about something that keeps me here, because it's a lot. And to unravel childhood trauma is horrible. And to do that alone is even worse. And so I shifted my mindset, and I'm like, this is not about how horrible my life was. In my opinion, I look at that and I go, my soul chose that, to come into the existence knowing that there was going to be all that suffering at the beginning. And so to me, why would a soul do that unless there's something at the end that is just so effing amazing, that makes it all worthwhile. And so I went to find that purpose. And to me, that's the work I do with women who are coming out of child sexual abuse, violent homes, domestic violence. I need to help those women. I need to be the beacon that says you're not alone in this, and we're going to figure it out.
That's amazing.
And that's the purpose.
That's awesome.
And so everything else just aligns to that constantly.
Does it remind you of when we had the paranormal team, and I had said their purpose wasn't to thrill seek.
Yes.
It was to help people, both alive and dead.
And dead, yeah.
So
And what I
sometimes we go into an investigation, and I'm being called by the person who's alive, but I'm not actually there to help that person.
Right.
I'm there to get a message or help. The last investigation we did, we had to help the mother that had passed,
Yeah.
pass her message through, using the equipment that we had in our own
And it was such a simple
investigative
message
ways.
too, and it
But
almost took a
so
couple days to really get that message through.
It's
and it
almost
was
like we
something
needed a
so
medium
simple.
with us to get it done the first time instead of
Reggie,
going
don't
back
know
6
anybody.
times.
Where were you?
Here's what I was right here.
I didn't know that. I'm not psychic.
Well, you better work out. I have some classes. We'll sign you up. So here's what I really love about what's happening in the paranormal field right now.
Okay.
Is that before you had the thrill seekers and, oh, we're looking for the most demonic experience possible. We want to go home with attachments. Are you crazy, first of all? Second of all, I love that there's been a shift, and we are going to treat spirits with compassion, and we're going to treat them like with the respect that they're due.
Yep.
And the majority of this negative crap that people think is going on is our disrespect. If some random stranger walked into your house and started demanding that you perform all of this stuff, would you not be offended?
Yeah,
Would you not be
there's-
pissed off? Would you not want to lash out?
Yeah, there's
100%.
definitely like a shift in the whole field right now on the way and the approach that it is
Yes.
being looked at. Some of that is attributed to network TV. There's some shows now that are taking a different
Yeah.
approach. We're trying to weed out the Zach Baggins of the field.
Yeah.
But that's like for us, like that's how we started. We started as kids thrill seeking, and then it was ghost hunting, and then it was this, and it just changed to the point where we got to. For me, I want to help people. Now we're doing a podcast because my brain can't stop thinking about everything to do with the unknown.
Yeah.
So, and that shift is coming, and I'm seeing it more and more with other groups. There's even like a network shift now where network TV is being canceled, and the people that have a true passion to that field are like, well, we're going to keep going, do things the way we want
I
to
know
do
exactly who
it
you're talking about.
properly, and put it on things like YouTube services and stuff like that where we can get to the public no problem.
Where we don't have to entertain.
Right.
Right? The initial paranormal shows were about entertaining an audience.
Yeah.
And so there were I'm sure that there were teams and shows that faked evidence. Right? And then they blew it up and made it into this entertainment for people who have no clue.
It was a way to draw people in.
Absolutely. And it was good in the sense that it brought awareness to how common this activity can be.
For me, I thought it kind of drew in people in the negative way because they weren't showing the positive side of things. They were showing the negative sides. Oh, like hauntings. This is scary, and they'll do this, and blah 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 blah.
But it also normalized it.
In a sense, yeah, of course. But in a way, I was more so hoping that people would open their eyes more to the topic of, the high strangeness. And there's more to it
Yeah.
than just oogie boogie and spooky and
But
stuff
we live in a
like that.
society that wants to be spoon-fed, entertained,
Mm-hmm.
and given the answers. They don't want to do the research and investigation for themselves. They just want us to give them all the answers.
Yeah.
Right? And so anybody worth their salt as a medium or a psychic reader or a tarot reader or palm reader, tea reader, whatever, who sits there and says, I'm not here to give you the answers. I'm here to tell you what spirit needs you to know in this moment so that you can make the next decision. And there's lots of times where I've hit that wall and I'm like, Spirit's not going to give me any more information about this because you need to figure it out because it's your journey and it's none of my business.
Yeah. So that kind of reminds me of the wizard in New York. He can give you a spell
wizard
to
in
do.
New York.
Yeah, you never heard that
No.
story? It's something, and it's something that we can chat about at another time. But
There's a guy in New York who dresses himself up as a wizard and goes on the subway and does like
grants wishes.
grants wishes and readings and stuff for
But the
people.
only
New
way
York
for
is
this,
amazing.
the only way for this wish to come true is he gives you a task, and you must complete this task in order
Oh.
for something to come
He's
true.
probably really fun at parties, though.
He probably is, and has probably done
Probably.
a hell of a lot of LSD.
Maybe. We're not judging.
I'm not
Not
judging,
judging, no
but
judging.
probably has done a lot of LSD.
The situation. Sorry to deject from your wizard in New York.
We're just going to move
What's
away
wrong
from
with the wizard?
Nothing. The wizard's
Okay.
great. Shout out Euphemet. The situation we were talking about the shift of the field and putting it in conjunction with what you do. There was an old school show called Most Haunted.
Yep.
And on Most Haunted, there was a psychic medium on there by the name of Derek Akora, who is now passed. And Derek Akora was kind of castrated for he faked some evidence or something.
Yeah.
And knowing what we know now about network TV and the way things work with network TV, is it not it's not that far-fetched to believe that the network pushed him to do some things that maybe he took the fall
100%.
for?
Absolutely.
And why, looking at that now, is like, don't discredit the fact that Derek Akora did what he could do, had the abilities of doing what he could do. He was super talented and did gallery readings and different things. I've read his books. A fantastic man. It was a shame that he passed.
But listen, man, perfect example of probably what happened to him was what he was doing was probably directing. Remember what happened to me with my
That's
story?
what I'm saying. I
right?
think he was victim to
Yes.
being directed by network TV,
That's right.
and then
And
instead
if
of
he
network
didn't-
TV taking the fall, he had
Right.
to take the
And
fall.
if he didn't fall in line, there was a lineup of
Right.
people who would quickly have taken his spot. So,
Mm-hmm.
the medium that I did my classes with had an opportunity. There was a psychic show with two ladies, the teetotaler ladies, and at the end of every show, they sat down to have their drink at the end of their investigation. She was initially approached to do that show. They did not go with her because she wasn't fabulous enough and eccentric enough. And they went with these two ladies because they had this thing with the drink. The mediums, I'm going to very broad brush here. When I'm doing readings, I don't drink. I don't alter myself in any way, shape, or form.
Well, yeah, that kind of
And-
makes sense. You're kind of distorting your thoughts, right?
And so I'm not going to go out and do a paranormal investigation, go home and drink, because I need to also process the experience as well.
Okay.
Right? So, and a lot of times too, I know if I'm going to be at a house party or an event for a period of time, I don't really even eat that day. I want to be really clear so that I can be more effective, not less. But it happens, and it's happened in Canada quite a bit.
So you think you have like a routine or like a ritual routine of, I'm going to work today at the active market. I know my routine of what I have to do to prepare myself to go and
So
do
I'm the
readings or whatever.
exception. I'm the exception to that because a lot of mediums spend time in meditation and they do have a ritual or a thing. I jump in my vehicle, I crank the tunes up, and especially if it's sunny outside, I'm like, the vibrational frequency of the music amps up my vibrational frequency. I love bass, I love music, and it puts me in a really good space mentally. And then when I get to my booth, as I'm setting up my booth, I'm having a little mental conversation with Spirit. I visualize a lighthouse with the light going out, and I say to Spirit, I'm here and I'm ready to work today. Or I'm not really I don't feel good today, I feel off today, or whatever that conversation is. And I'm ready to do the work, and I'm calling in the people that need to sit with me today, so you need to bring them. So if you want to talk about ritual, that's pretty much it. But I'm all about loud and noisy because I'm Polish Ukrainian. What do you want?
A ritual's a ritual.
Pretty well
man.
as crazy as it gets.
And I've had people say to me, before you come, do you need a space to do meditation? And I'm like, no, I talk to them over the music on my way here.
Everybody's ritual routine is different. That's
Yes.
what I meant by that. Like, yours is what you just explained.
Yeah.
Just the same as somebody like me going to work on trucks. You know, the morning routine is to stop and grab a coffee and listen to
Mentally
some music
prepare.
and mentally prepare to walk into that place and see what kind of what unfolds on that day.
Chaos beholds us today.
Right? I'm sure you have a routine when you go to work. Like, you have a morning routine of some sort. So, and that's what I was. Yeah. And that's
it's just mine isn't traditional to what you would normally. Like, the people that I did mediumship class with, I keep in touch with a few of them, and they're all about that. They're all about, I need to meditate today, and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I'm always talking to spirit. I don't need to be in a quiet room. I don't need whatever, because I'm always talking to spirit, and spirit's always talking to me.
Okay. So, another question would be, we'll touch on the psychic part of it.
Sure.
When you're watching a movie or something like that, and a psychic is portrayed a certain way, you know, like, I got
the woo-woo?
Yeah.
I hate
How does
the
that
woo-woo.
make you feel?
I hate it.
Why?
But here's the thing. For some people, that's part of their thing. That's part of their being. That's how they do their work.
Sure.
So I don't judge it.
Okay.
It's just not for me.
Okay.
I'm a very practical personality type.
Sure.
And I don't have time for bullshit.
Okay.
And so I'm like that in my practice, and I'm like, I don't woo-woo. I have a cloak at home. I don't wear it to the booths. I don't do all of the long nails and the big hair and the fake.
Yeah, because that's how you usually see them portrayed.
That's not
right?
who I am. Is I still am a human being, having a human experience, and I show up authentic to that. And the woo-woo stuff I see on TV is just. There are some shows I can't even watch because I can't stand it. And it's not that it's right or wrong. It's just not for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only way I can describe what you have is like a gift, right?
Yep.
Would you say you're gifted?
Absolutely.
So, do you ever feel like any certain point in time like your gift is just too much and you're just it's overcrowded, and is there a way like you kind of settle it down or shut it down or something?
No, because I have, in the structure of my classes, we've learned boundaries.
Sure.
We've learned, in teaching mediumship, I've expanded my own knowledge, and I know and understand that there are boundaries.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of people who wake up in the middle of the night when the veil is the thinnest because spirit is talking to them or walking through the house or showing up in some way, shape, or form. That's lack of boundaries. You have the right to say you are not allowed to show up in my house in the middle of the night and wake me for a message. Have I had spirit show up in my house previous to a reading? Yes. And I always ask them, what is your intention? Why are you here? And if I don't feel anything, I let them be. Again, I treat them like they're human beings, right? With dignity and respect. Eventually, somewhere I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to figure out why that soul has shown up. It's always attached to a reading previous to, because they know I'm going to sit with them, right? Fred, what was the question again? Mercury retrograde's messing with my brain this week, sorry. See, you
do you have a way to...
Oh, to shut it down.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
So for me, it never gets to the point of overwhelm.
Okay.
If I'm out doing personal stuff for myself and I'm sensing something, I tell them, now's not the time. We're not doing this right now. Again, it's about boundaries, right?
Sure.
This is not the time to do this. If at some point you need to come back because the timing is better, or I'm sitting with one of your family or your loved ones, then yes, you can come and talk to me. But I don't allow it to consume me. And you'll hear a lot of times psychics will talk about, oh, I'm a psychic and an empath. No, you have no boundaries. And so you just run willy-nilly through life, allowing everything to just influence you, and you take on everybody else's problems because you have no boundaries. It's like, and I'm just going to elaborate a little bit because this is an important thing to think about too. The people who always claim, oh, I have a negative attachment, somebody's hexed me, somebody's cursed me. No. What if it's your karma? Maybe maybe you've done something and your karma has come back. That's not a hex. Anyway, rant over.
No,
soapbox
no,
away.
you know what? And you're completely right, because I don't think too many people are well aware of what karma's a real thing, man.
Absolutely.
Like it carries
I
itself
call it
in
in
so
all
many
the time.
and
Don't
which is
cut me
awesome.
off on the 401 because you going home with some karma. I
Do you
should
have
probably have a
anything?
bumper sticker.
Yeah.
No,
No. Okay.
I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm taking it all in.
All right.
I'm a spectator now too.
Spectating?
Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, I could keep going for hours, but I mean,
I'm sure you could. But again, people can come down to the Active Marketplace in Ajax on Notion Road, 19 Notion Road.
19 Notion Road.
Go to it seems like you're in the center nexus of the building, very dead center.
Hall
north
A.
side.
Hall
Hall
A.
A,
You will see
middle of
some
the second row.
beautiful rainbow colored flags out front.
You'll smell the
of-
Palo
of-
Santo.
Oh, I love that smell, Palo
Yeah.
Santo.
Yeah.
Come down, see what it's all about.
Come find out for yourself.
Get a reading, buy some merchandise, see what draws to you. Usually, I mean,
Yes.
in my experience, usually something will pull you to it. So
Yeah.
you'll come
Yeah.
in the booth and something will call to you. If you come down and something is calling to you, trust me, buy it, because if you go home, it won't be there the next time you come back, and you'll wish you had bought it because it was drawn to you. This happens to me all the time. I'll be thrift shopping and I'll be like, I should have went back and got that, and I go back and it's gone.
Yeah. And the thing is too is that I'm very particular about what I bring in. So obviously because I'm at a flea market, space is a premium. So I'm always super picky about a lot of the products I make myself, but I'm also very particular about the quality and or the purpose of bringing.
It's got a
something
very
in.
personal feel
Yeah.
to the booth. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Anyways, we're gonna come back
Okay.
because we're gonna have
You know that's not a threat, right?
no.
You know
that's-
you need to sit down with me and talk about your friend, right?
Yeah, we're gonna yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't think we're talking about
Not
the same
today.
friend that I talked about earlier.
No.
So, yeah, come down and see her. So there you have it.
Yep.
That's the interview in its entirety.
Yeah. The one thing I will point out, man, that one story that she told, that pulled some heartstrings.
Yeah, you almost turned into a baby.
Yeah, like the tears started flowing. The tears started flowing.
I thought maybe like somebody was cutting onions next door or
Right?
something.
Was there anything that stood out for you that really piqued your interest?
You know, I had to mention this to them after we did the interview. My brain goes a mile a minute. So as we're doing the interview and you're asking questions, and I'm trying to like chime in and talk about certain stuff too, and my head is like thinking of like 10 different things at once
Yep.
that I want to bring up, and then I usually end up bringing up one or two.
Right.
And I'm like, oh man, I gotta remember to ask this stuff later on. So yeah, that's why I said that's not gonna be the only
No.
interview, because I got like so much more.
She's
that
definitely
will
going to
come.
be a reoccurring guest, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna be in the works of working on some projects with her.
Yeah.
So which is gonna be super fun.
Very fun.
So I know we addressed it a while back on the live that we did, and that is part of the suggestions. I think there was things like abandoned houses and stuff like that, and yeah, there's going to be stuff coming,
Yeah.
and we're probably going to bring her with us if she's willing to come.
If she's willing to come, which
And
I'm sure she will.
I think she has a student that she wants to have come out with
Yeah.
us too, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into all kinds of. We'll be hitting it from all different angles, I guess you would say. Like
Yeah.
we have our investigative sides.
Yeah.
Where, as someone once said to us, believer and skeptic. I don't know. It was brought up to me afterwards, though, that was said to me, and I told you
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
That I actually proclaimed myself a skeptic on one of the previous episodes, which I forgot I did.
Yeah.
But
Whereas me, I'm the total believer.
But this
Slash
is the thing.
student.
This is the thing. When I say like before, I'm not trying to contradict what I said before, but I said I was a skeptic, and then when somebody's like, "Oh, you're a skeptic," I was like, "Wait, am I a skeptic?"
No.
I don't think it's that I'm a skeptic. Maybe I am, but I'm also I just have
You're a deep thinker.
I have
You're
a lot,
an
I have a lot-
overthinker.
I have a lot of questions about everything.
Yeah, you overthink.
So I'm only skeptical to the point to try to provoke more thought process into everything.
Yeah.
So instead of somebody just going, hey, that's a demon, and I'm like, no, I'm skeptical, that's not a demon. I want to back that up with, what else do you think it could be?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course.
Have you thought about this or that or different things? Like, that's what I mean by skeptical.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical of the definitive answer.
Totally.
I'm very much a believer that there's answers out there that I just won't get the answers to.
Okay.
I can't get answers about the
Yeah.
answers with the answers on the answers, but the answers are still the answers because of the answers.
Ow.
Do you have any questions about the answers?
No. But I will say that was a great interview. She answered all the questions so well, and I tried to come at her with very aggressive questions.
Some of them were, yeah.
But she answered them so well. She's so well spoken. Yeah. She knows her practice so well. She's
She's
just
got
an
cool stuff too.
Great energy from her. Great person. Again, down to earth. Knows her field. Looking forward to working with her again in the future. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
And by the time you hear this, maybe we already have.
Maybe. Never know.
Maybe you already know, and we didn't know at the time of this location.
Here we
but
go
you knew.
again with the answers thing.
It's like a time paradox. Excuse me, I'm going to go jump under the sink. Anyways, folks, that was the interview.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with Hollow Earth theories.
Hollow Earth.
And maybe another interview down the road.
Never know.
Who knows? Who knows? Until the next time, stay spooky.
Stay weird.